Welcome to Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, your guide to mastering the realm of real estate in Central East Florida. I am Sir Lancelot Leonard, ready to uncover the secrets of seller strategies, home staging, mortgage mastery, and more. From Daytona Beach to Cocoa Beach, Lake County to St. Augustine, join me as we navigate the intricacies of real estate. As the leader of the Sir Lancelot Group at Florida Homes Realty and Mortgage, I'm here to arm you with knowledge and innovation, whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, unveiling the kingdom of real estate, one roundtable at a time. Hello, everybody. We're back. From broke single mom to America's most sought after real estate investor, today's guest is the definition of resilience, vision, and hustle. She didn't just flip over 2,000 properties. She flipped the entire industry, pioneering the short sale strategy in the early 90s and cunning to very term we all use today. With best-selling book, a hit podcast, and a mission to put people before profit, she's helped thousands find financial freedom through real estate. Please welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable, the queen of short sales, Dwan Bent-Twyford. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, honey. I'm so excited to be on your show.
This is going to be awesome. Guys, she has a wealth of knowledge, and we're going to love this show today. So let's start from the beginning. Can you take us back to the moment in your life when everything changed, when you went from struggling to seeing opportunity in real estate?
I can. I have one of those stories that has like a hard come to Jesus moment where this was before and this was after. So I was married. I had a baby. I was 30 years old. And so I'm a little bit older than you. So in my 20s, it was the 80s. And the 80s was all about like sex and drugs and rock and roll and cocaine and champagne and working in nightclubs. And it was just a very shoulder pads, very bougie time period, like coming off of the 60s and the war and all stuff like that. So I was all in on that. I worked at nightclubs, I bartended, I went to South Beach like every weekend with my friends. And so we were talking, I was like, oh, I spent a whole decade down there, not a place to raise family. So I was like, I'm hearing you talk. I was like, oh, I could not agree more. Anyway, so now I'm settled down, I have a baby, and I want to be like the Girl Scout mom, the homeroom mom, the field trip mom, the cookie mom, the disco ball mom. And when my daughter was 8 months old, her dad and I had just a really unexpected breakup. And so I was like, okay, I'm 30 years old. I've never had a real job. I've been in the bar business for a decade. And I partied my ass off and never settled down. I was like, what am I going to do? Because my first thought was, I don't want to raise my daughter in daycare. I literally waited till I was 30 to have kids. And so I'm like, I waited. I wanted to be a mom. And da-da. And then when I realized things weren't going to work out, I thought, I got to figure something out where I can work for myself and raise this child, because I'm not giving up all my other dreams because this dream got shattered. So it was like a really low point. I was shocked and surprised, and I didn't have any money. And during that time period, I lost my house. My car got repossessed. I didn't have any money. It was really like dark and low.
Wow.
And my family was great. My dad's, hey, you can move back to Ohio and live in your old bedroom and raise your daughter. And I was like, God, I already live in Florida and I love Florida. I've been here a decade. And then I was like, let's see, move home with my dad, go in the ocean and pray a shark would eat me. And honestly, the shark sounded like a better idea. I'm like, all right, I'm going to buckle down. And so at that time period, she was born in 88. There was no internet. There was no Google. All the things y'all have, none of that existed. So we had to look for jobs in the newspaper. And at that time, multi-level marketing was like the thing. So there was a million things. Come to this hotel for a meeting. And they were all multi-level. I'm like, oh, God. Which I get the value of multi-level, but I needed like a paycheck right this like today. And I met some guys and like, oh, we're investors. We buy houses and we fix them up and we sell them. And I'm naive, so I think fixing up means decorating. And I thought I could do that. You buy a house, you decorate it and fix it up, make it look nice, and you sell it. How hard could that be? So I literally, after just a couple of lunches with these guys and them giving me advice, I went out and I started going door knocking with my baby.
Wow.
And I knocked on doors. I found a woman named Barbara. She was also going through a divorce. And she was like, I need to move. I was like, I need a house to fix up and we'll split it. Like we'll do it. So I made this whole like equity partnering deal with this woman without knowing what I was doing, like literally on a hug and a handshake. So we like hugged, shook it out. We signed a sales contract. She moved out. I moved in. I fixed it up. I made 22,000 bucks. And I was like, I'm so rich right now. Because back then that was a full year's paycheck for most people. People only made 17 or 18,000 a year. I was like, oh my God, I have $22,000. I'm so rich. I'm gonna do it again. I did it again. I did it again. Then pretty soon a year went by, then 2 years went by, and then 3 years went by. And I was like, dang, I make so much money. I'm just gonna do this forever. And now my daughter's 36 and I'm still doing it.
I love that. It's a great origin story. Like I'm thinking about it. I've heard a similar story before from the inventor of Bold. She is Anna Kokoska, I think. She did that same thing, but she was a real estate agent, so she didn't look for flips. She knocked on doors with her kids in the
Yeah.
wagon, pulling it behind her for listings.
Oh yeah,
And
no, and people were like, you just knocked on the door. And I said, I didn't have a babysitter and I
back
was
then it was different
trying to
too.
avoid daycare. So I just go up on the door and just knock on it. And we had to go, like I had to drive to West Palm Beach, Florida and write down all the foreclosures and then use those old big map books, which I thought someday I hope they come up with something. And when
They
they
did.
first came out with GPS, that little Garmin, that was like I bought that thing so fast because mapping it's so long and wasteful of your time. And I just take it and knock on doors. And I think some people worked with me because they probably felt sorry for me. So I got a kid with me. And then I just moved into each house. So my first one, I decorated, I did custom blinds, like all the things that was in the 80s, mauve. And I remember looking around and thinking, God, this house, it needs so much work. The kitchens are yellow, the bathrooms are green. This is awful. So then I realized, like, when they were saying, because I called them, like, listen, what am I supposed to be doing? You have to fix everything. You mean like construction? Yeah, you got to rehab. And I was like, I don't know how to rehab. I thought I was literally like fixing up. Like, I am not joking. And I thought, how the hell am I going to learn that? So back at the time, Home Depot had classes, live classes.
Oh,
And I
really?
went to, oh yeah, they still do them now for kids. If you bring a kid on Saturday, they
Yeah.
get a little apron. Okay, so they had them for adults in the whole 80, probably till YouTube got big and for decades. So I would take every class. I went to a tile class and measured the kitchen and went back and bought the tile and the spacers and laid the tile. And went to a class on how to change toilets and I changed all three of the toilets. And I learned how to build cabinets and Ayla would be sleeping and I'd be in the living room just drilling, putting cabinets together and making screens and pressure washing and painting. And I knew how to paint though. And yeah, and I rehabbed this house 90% of it by myself.
That is awesome.
And it looked really good. I was like, look at that. The work of your hands. I was like, this is nice. Look at this house. I sold it right away. Like the third day it was on the market. I didn't even list it. I didn't even know to hire an agent. I just put an ad in the paper. House for sale. Somebody came by. They were fully qualified. I called these guys and I said, what do I do now? You got to find a title company. And I was like, okay, what's that? I look back and said, oh my God, I don't even know how it was possible that all this happened. I found a title company. I closed that first deal. And I was like, oh, okay, that was fun. Doing it again. So I moved into every rehab until Ayla started in kindergarten.
This is something that we have to teach as a lesson too for those people sitting on the sidelines all the time. You know, that you could read as many books as you want, you could watch as many videos as you want, but getting right into it is going to teach you a lot more than any book could or any seminar could about the whole process and how to do this. And that's really big, guys. Anybody listening, listen to her, what she did. She had no clue what she was doing. She jumped
I
into it.
didn't even own a paintbrush. I had no
Yeah.
tools, nothing.
And she made it happen and she made money with it. Boom.
I had custom made blinds. I put a new carpet. Put some furniture, some plants, some pictures, and then I was like, God, the kitchen is terrible. And so I really, and I have to say, I always tell people this is I think me being so naive was really good for me because if I had really known what I was doing, I might have been afraid to do it.
Yeah, for
But I
sure.
didn't have any skills. If someone said you're going to replace the toilets and the sinks and the cabinets and pressure wash and paint the house and all that, I would have been like, No, I don't know how to do any of that. So I don't think I would have done it if I knew actually what I was doing.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's like, how do you call it? Their holdback in a
Yeah.
way because they know too much, and then they're like, I don't want to do that. So was this
I
your
just,
first short
I
sale?
would have been like, I don't even know what a screwdriver. I don't even own a screwdriver. I have
How do
to
you?
fix a house. I have to rehab a house. And no, so I did, like I said, I lived in rehab. So I just did one at a time. And then after I started school, I went into a workshop, like workshops. There weren't even RIA groups back then. So there's no internet, there's no Google, there's nobody teaching around the country. And a real estate investors group opened up in Boca Raton, Florida, and which is still there today. And I went there and I was like, oh, okay, other investors, they meet. That's really cool. So I was really surprised to see like 80 people showed up to the first meeting, and like everybody, they were all men. And then my immediate thought was like, do girls not do this? This is a man. Do women not
And
do
it is true.
it? There was one other girl there, and she and I talked, and we had lunch, and we ended up forming a partnership. So I had a partner for my first decade. But I literally remember looking around the room and thought, there aren't any women here. Is this not a girl's job? Girls don't do real estate. I don't know. They don't fix up stuff. And as it turned out, I ended up like outperforming everyone. So I was just like, that's right. Women do everything. So
Well,
I
this is
started wholesaling. So
yeah.
that was how it started. I started wholesaling. So now I'm wholesaling like a crazy person because I'm used to door knocking. I'm used to talking to people. I'm not afraid. I've learned to expand like my advertising and different things. So I was wholesaling, and the deals were really good in the 90s, like really a lot of equity on every single deal. And I came across a deal one time, and at the last minute, they added on a bunch of fees, like $4,000 worth of fees. And I was only making five. And when you're newer and you're making five, you got five spent. Like I needed the whole five. I called the bank and said, hey, listen, you added these fees on here. I don't think I can close now. And then, no, I said, no, I'm not going to be able to close. And she's like, hang on a minute. And then she came back. She just put me on hold, came back, then took the fees off. So I was like, they just took $4,000 off on one phone call. So I thought, I'm going to do that again. So the next deal, I called and asked them to take off fees. And then 7 or 8 deals later, I was like, I wonder if they take off like the balance, take off some principal. So then I called and I said, hey, I've got this house and it's got more work. It's got damage. It's got this. It's got that. I can't pay 60, but I could pay like 30. And it went from 60,000 to $35,000.
Wow.
And I was like, what just happened right now? What is this? And there was no name. Like the banks were calling it shorting, discounting, selling the note short, discounting the mortgage. But there was not like a name. And the girl's like, sometimes we just sell it short. And I was like, oh, okay, like a short sale. I was like, okay, a short sale. So I just started calling banks. Do you guys do short sales? And they're like, no. I said, what about like shorting, discounting? Use all the words. And they'd be, oh, yeah, we do that. And I just started doing them. And next thing I know, I was like, God, I'm making so much more money on my wholesales. Instead of a $5,000 or $10,000 wholesale, I'm making like 25 grand. And this is years ago. So houses were cheap. Every house was under 100 grand. So in Florida at that time. And I was like, I should trademark this. So then I'm learning about business. I'm reading business books. I'm educating myself because I didn't even know how to do bookkeeping. And so I got an attorney. I trademarked the term short sales. So I have the actual the registered R as it applies to real estate, because short sales is used in like stocks and other industries. So I have the
Hoarding, yeah.
R as it applies to real estate. So I've had that trademark for 25 years.
Probably make a little pretty penny off of that because every realtor uses it.
They all do. They all do. The thing is, like, you can't really, I mean, you could force everyone to pay you and all the stuff, but it's like, in the very beginning, I was like, hey, they're using that term. And they're like, we can write everyone a cease and desist, but you'll spend your whole life doing that. I was like, yeah, that's okay. I'll just also trademark the queen of short sales, and then I'll just keep it and use it. And people will just, oh, yeah, she started it, she invented it.
He
That's
gets the
amazing.
title.
Just keep the title. So it's not we're trying to shut everybody down.
You just
But
knocked out
I
four of
want
my
the word
questions.
out there. You don't want the word out there. But so I wrote a program, a little 50-page program, first person to write one, went to the real estate investors group, sold programs, copy wrote and trademarked all that. And I was like, oh, look at me. And then all of a sudden it just blew up and it was this crazy thing.
That's incredible. And you just knocked three of my questions out of the park, but by
And
one
it was
answer.
totally by accident, just like rehabbing. It was all by accident. I always tell people, I said, God clearly wanted me in this exact industry because every single thing I did was 100% by accident. Like thinking, knocking off fees versus half of the principal. And rehabbing is not fixing, it's like actually like in the mud rehabbing. And it's like, if I would have known all that stuff, I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have had the guts to do it all.
So, how did the industry react when you first started promoting short sales as an investing strategy?
Oh, I immediately got offered a book deal. I have a book called Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing. Gary Keller and Keller Williams wrote a book, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. I'm in that book.
Oh, you are. I
I'm
read
in
that
that
book like
book.
5 times.
I'm in that book. I have short, blonde, spiky hair. And it was the year of the Sharon Stone Basic Instinct movie. I did that to my hair when I was in my 40s. I'm in that book. And I don't know, people started calling me and writing books and getting book deals and being on TV shows. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. So it just blew up into a thing.
So, what are the most or some of the most common myths or misconceptions investors still have about short sales?
Yeah, that is a really good question because the number one thing is, and I hear this every time my husband and I do workshops all over the country all the time. And people go, oh, yeah, the market's good. The banks don't do short sales. And I hear that from hundreds of people. And I was like, see, that's because you don't understand the short sale. The short sale is not about the market, it's the back end, it's how much the bank is losing. And the CEO of Bank of America said, the day that we file foreclosure papers on a house, we lose 40% of the value immediately because the fees, the foreclosure, the bankruptcy, the time that he goes, we lose 40% of the value the minute we actually file the foreclosure. That's why banks will send you letters. Let's work it out. Let's work it out. Because when they file the foreclosure fee, it changes everything. The foreclosure, the list pendants or whatever
Yeah.
called in all the different states. Notice of default in Colorado. But the minute that's filed, officially made public, the bank loses 40% of the value immediately. So already $100,000 house, they lose 40,000 off of it. So $60,000 is like what the bank is going to get anyway. So people don't understand that from the bank's point of view, they have a lot of defaulted notes. They can't borrow money they have to pay a higher interest rate to borrow the money from the big banks. They have to pay more. They can't charge you more because they have to stay competitive, so they lose money. And then they have a loan loss reserve. So every house, if you buy a $500,000 house, the bank has $500,000 sitting in a fund that's not lendable against every loan. So you have the loan out and there's money back here. And if there's too many foreclosures, then the bank has to keep double the money. So now there's $500,000 house, the bank's got $1 million that's not lendable because it's called a loan loss reserve. So if you look at the bank's point of view, they do them all the time because every single foreclosure hurts the bank. They've got the yearly reports, the quarterly reports, they have all these things. So I tell people, if you would think like the bank, you would never say the words, the market's great. Why would the bank short sale? Because the reasons that people go into foreclosure never change. In COVID, in a great market, in a bad market, people are always getting divorced. People are always dying. People are always losing jobs. People are always, the reasons people get into foreclosure in the first place, they don't change. So it doesn't matter what's happening in the market. These things are happening every single day in the world, and people are losing houses all the time, no matter what the market is doing. So I always tell people, like, stop looking at the market. Just look at the divorce rate. Everyone
Yeah.
qualifies, like you make enough money, your wife can stay home. You don't have to have two incomes. 90% of the people buy houses with two incomes. One income leaves, divorce. What follows the divorce is a foreclosure. They can't make it on one income. So all those things happen every single solitary day. I tell people, look at the bigger picture. The reason people get into foreclosure does nothing to do with the market. It doesn't matter if it's an election year, if it's a great market, a bad market, it doesn't matter. The reasons are the same, and the banks have the same issue all the time.
That's
So,
incredible information. I haven't thought about it this way, but that makes so much sense.
yeah,
Even
they're like, oh, the market's great. And it's, yeah, okay. But if the market's great and someone has a 500, say a $200,000 house and they owe 200 and they need $50,000 worth of work, it doesn't matter what the market is, they can't sell it.
yeah.
And they're going through a divorce. So it doesn't have anything to do with the market. They can't sell the house. They owe what it's worth and it needs work. So who's going to buy it? An investor. An investor's going to say, hey, Mr. Banker, I can't buy this $200,000 house. That's in foreclosure. That's on your books. Your loan loss reserve, all your things, because it needs $50,000 worth of work. I can give you 100. The bank goes, good, get it off the books. So you just have to look at it from the bank. Nothing changes for the bank.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That puts a new light on short sales and foreclosures for me in many ways. Like I was always like, they're gonna freaking ask for market value anyways, which they've been doing in the last few years that I've noticed. Is like when you go for a short sale, or not a short sale, but when you go for a foreclosure and you're trying to bid on it or whatever, they're always like, I think that might be two reasons for that. Number one, there's probably way more investors now than they were back in the day.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more people bidding up the price of the property to a point where it doesn't really, as you said, you could get him back in the day 40% less for what the value was, what they were putting the value out for. Now it's so much harder because there's 20 investors on like hawks on same property.
No, here's the key. We work with people that are in foreclosure. They're
Okay.
living in the house, they're in the foreclosure process. The bank has a sale date set that might be 90 days away. So there's
Okay.
not people bidding. It's not at the courthouse steps. It's not a listing. It's not a auction. The homeowner lives in the house. They're losing the house in 90 days. I come along and the homeowner says, hey, Dwan, I want to work with you. I'm the only person calling the bank on this house. The homeowner's not until the day of the auction.
Yeah.
So I'm getting it once it's made public record, which is it's at the courthouse then, and then before the sale date. So in that window, we're working with the homeowners. So all of my deals are people that are in foreclosure already. They're in the foreclosure process. They've been served the papers that say, we're taking your house on this day. And we work with those people because then we give them money to move so they get a fresh start, which is what happened to me. I lost my house and my car and all my stuff. It's fresh start would have been nice with someone helping me. And then it saves them from having a foreclosure on their credit report. And then the bank gets to get it off the books before it goes into, it's a defaulting asset, but after it goes to foreclosure, it's like in another category. So they get to get rid of it before it gets in that category. So it's in the window.
Wow. It's opened up a new world for me.
Yeah, thank you. So people are like, I don't understand. It's funny. We do them all the time. There's not ever a week that goes by that we're not doing them because we're in the window. I don't wait till it goes on the market. As an agent, if there's some new thing that says, hey, foreclosure, it's fresh, everybody's bidding.
Yes.
Everybody's bidding high. But if you're talking before they lose it, the bank is, and I say, hey, if you don't work with me, they're going to file bankruptcy. Mr. Banker, if they do that, they're going to live free for 2 years and think about your year-end reports and your loan loss reserve is going to go up and you're going to be sitting in this house for 2 more years and da. You should sell to me right now. We'll be done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then they're like, okay, wire the money.
Out of the 2,000 properties you flipped, what's your most memorable deal and why?
Honestly, probably my first one, even though I wholesaled it with Barbara, because I literally had lunch with these guys a couple times. And I was like, okay, I'm smart. I can hear what you're saying. I can make that happen. And I have no paperwork. They gave me a copy of the Florida sales contract and put little X's, have the homeowner just sign on these little X's. Didn't even read the contract. And I was like, okay, I have her sign it. How hard could it be? My very first deal, she says, could you explain the contract to me? And I actually had never read it. And I was like, oh man. So I'm reading like, okay, this is where we're going to put the sales price. And then the next paragraph, something about inspections. And then the next paragraph, there's this word estoppel. I'll never forget it, the word estoppel. And I'm like, I don't even know what that could mean. So I finally said, listen, I've never even read the contract. I don't even know what half these words are on this page. I definitely don't know this word. So the word estoppel shut me down. And I said, you're my first deal. I'm a single mom like you are. I think I can help you. I believe I can help you. If you'll trust me, we'll work together. But I honestly don't have a clue what I'm doing. And she was just like, okay. And because I wasn't like some slick investor, literally we hugged, we handshook, we filled out a sales contract on the little X's. And then I literally memorized the contract. Every inch of the Florida contract. At the time, it was like 8 pages. Every day after I say, hey, do you want me to explain the contract to you? And do you know, nobody ever asked me.
They
Like, no,
don't.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Page 3, paragraph 4. Ask me. Nobody ever. They're like, no, we're fine. We're fine. I was like, oh, man. So honestly, I feel like my first year was my favorite because I was so clueless. And then I thought, man, the balls it must have taken for me to do that and for her to work with me. What was that?
That's awesome. And it's 13 pages now.
And nobody, I don't even know how many pages the Florida one is now, but
13. 13.
is it? Yeah,
Keeps
I
growing. It
memorized
keeps growing.
every word. I was just like, I'm never letting this happen. I got a dictionary and I had to go get a dictionary and there's no Google. I have to look up all the words. And I was just like, I just remember like getting shut down and oh man, I had to tell her the truth. I'm like,
Oh,
I don't know what I'm doing. And then I thought, I'm never letting that happen. I'm never getting caught off guard. It's never going to happen to me. I'm going to learn and study. And then nobody ever asked me anything again.
they don't. Usually, even in real estate as an agent, can tell you probably count you two of my hands how many times I had to explain the contract. I don't know what people just like. And then when you go to towards closing and they get cold feet or something, and they're like, but why don't I get my escrow money back? I said, I explained to you in the beginning that goes hard after the inspection period, and you would only get it back if the bank denies you the loan, et cetera, et cetera. And the bank didn't deny you the loan. You basically just got cold feet and want to run. But at this point, we're 30 days in, somebody needs to get paid. The seller needs to get paid for their patience of having us here.
Yeah,
That's what that
no,
money's
I know.
for. You know, it's hard to explain that to a person. That's a lot of my saved up money is that. Is when you made the choice to buy the house, you made the choice to buy the house. It's hard to explain otherwise. So tell us
I
about your
think, when you and I were talking on my show, I
yeah.
think that's one of the reasons I had a hard time delegating because I was so caught off guard on the first deal. And then I found out I had to actually physically rehab this deal. And I was like, oh my God. I thought fixing up was like decorating. Like, seriously? I had to buy tools and learn how to work tools and stuff. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? 22,000 was like so much money. And it was with me every day in the house, crawling around. We lived in the house. It was super fun. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to learn what the title company does. I'm going to learn what the mortgage broker does. I'm going to learn what the real estate agent does. I'm going to learn everybody's job so I know what everybody's doing. And then I'm going to do all the work myself. And then once I learned all that, it's like I didn't want to let anything go because I started off so insanely naive. And then I was like, okay, transaction court, take the paperwork. I decided I don't like paperwork.
At least that. Take
At least I will start with that. And then the second person I hired was someone to clean my house. I was like, I got a girl that's going to clean my house and do my grocery shopping. I am so rich right now because I have a housekeeper. Because I grew up with Southern parents. I'm like, you don't have nobody cleans your house. You clean your own house. And so I hired a housekeeper. I was like, oh, look at me. I got a housekeeper. I got a coordinator. I am rolling.
So tell us about your people before profits philosophy. How has this shaped the way you do business today?
As there are so many, like the thing you were talking about, that back in whatever that program that you got with and stuff, there are just so many people that are really about just the money. And that's speakers as well as investors. You're helping people buy and sell houses. I am also helping people sell anyway, but I'm also training and teaching. I just realized over the last 30 years, there's so many people that are just in it for the money and not really care anything about the people. But I'm working with people that are losing their house. And to most people, that's their biggest asset. All of their emotional attachments there. They've got all their kids measured on the wall. That's their biggest thing. And I know so many investors that are like, screw the homeowners. Yeah, they shouldn't have gotten foreclosure in the first place. And yeah, they're getting $500 and they feel good about that. I'm like, seriously? You're okay? You can sleep at night and not worry about some big thunderbolt from heaven coming down and lightning striking you for not caring about people? And having had it happen to me, I thought, I don't ever want to see anybody go through that.
No, that makes so much sense. And also, I know you've been to a lot of Tony Robbins events as well as I have. He teaches that is the more we give back, the more we get back.
Yes.
And that's a way your philosophy works. You give back to those people. It's not going through something bad is not always the person's fault.
Yeah.
A lot of things change reaction.
Yeah. I helped a couple. This was the oddest thing. People have heart attacks all the time. I helped this one couple, and the husband had a heart attack. And exactly 1 year later to the day, the wife had the identical heart attack. And I was like, what? That's so weird. And so between him not working and her not working and all this, they just fell on a hard time. And now they're back working and the bank doesn't want to work with them. They're losing their house, all this crazy stuff. And I was like, People can't always help the things that happen to them.
No.
Now, there's other people that I've met that are like meth heads and they smoked it all the way and they borrowed money, they refinanced, they don't even have a stick of furniture left because they're just like, they're tweakers. And it's okay. You don't even deserve to have a house.
Yeah.
So I believe that philosophy that and there's been deals where the money was so tight when it got to the actual closing, I didn't even take any money. I just gave it all to the homeowners because of their situation. I don't, not in the business of work for free, but every time I do one of those deals, I'm going to get more back.
Oh yeah. Oh, tenfold.
And it
Well,
happens.
your mission is about empowering others. What do you think holds most people back from achieving true financial freedom through real estate?
Honestly, it's fear. It's fear. Ask every workshop that I do. The first question I say is, how many of you, and you can answer the question, how many of you make less than your worth? And almost everyone raises their hands. It's okay. So I ask every person, why do you make less than your worth? Why do you do that? And they're always like, I'm afraid to start. I don't know how to start. I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that. Like, but what if you had all those things? I don't know. It's a big step. And I think people are just afraid. It's a really unknown thing stepping in as an investor on my end, especially because I'm working directly with homeowners. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I will teach you everything. I will teach you not to worry. And I think people are just afraid. And I feel like, honestly, if I'd known everything I know now, probably would have been terrified to do that first deal on my own like that. But once I did it, I was like, look at that. That wasn't. And I tell people all the time, I said, listen, if you're ever going through a nasty divorce and a lot of anger issues, rehab a house. Because you can take that sledgehammer, rip out cabinets and break things and bust things and just go crazy. And when you're done, you'll feel better, you'll make money, and your therapy will be complete.
Fear of failure. That is
therapy ever is rehabbing a house.
Oh, for sure. I love the demo part usually too.
I
usually
love the demo
partake
part
in
still
those.
today. My daughter's working on a house around the corner. I'm like, hey, let me come. You guys are tearing stuff out. I'm on my way.
Yeah, fear of failure is one of those things that hold people back a lot. And I've noticed that too.
It's not even the fear of the failure. It's the fear of they don't know what they're going to do. They don't know what to say. It's not even that they're afraid to fail. They're afraid to start. They're like, oh, I need a company. I need this. I need that. No, you don't need any of that. You just need to start. So I think for a lot of people, it's not even the failure part. It's I'm afraid to, what do I do first? What do I say? I need a website. I need all this stuff. It's like,
they need to learn. They need to learn. They need to get more information. They don't have enough knowledge yet. And that's because this is what I've learned about myself is I'm afraid to go out there, not because I don't know the things. I'm afraid to fail at what I'm going to do. And that's where the fear of failure comes in. I was like, I'm afraid to fail at it. That's why I need to read another book about it. And that's because then I'll learn more and then I won't be afraid of failing because I'll know the things. And that's the thing that it comes back to. That's what I learned from like Tony Robbins is one of those people that preaches this, that fear of failure is your number one enemy. Is that
it's your number one enemy.
Yeah.
And I mean, people, I'll go speak at the RIA in Orlando, Tampa. Actually, I'm going to be in Tampa. You should come over. I'm going to be in Tampa in 2 weeks. And I will see people there that were there last year. They go, I just got my LLC. And I was like, okay. And
it takes 10 minutes to do an LLC.
And I read some more books and I'm working on a website. It's like, seriously, since last year, you could have done 5 deals already. Sure. What is wrong with you? But it's the failure and it's the fear of each of the steps. Yeah. What do I do after the first step? It's like you said, you fail forward.
Yeah. You fail forward.
You fall forward. If I fall forward, at least I'm 5 foot and 10 inches further than I was.
Exactly. And even look, even if you break even on your first deal, you still learn a lot of things. You learn how to buy it. You learn how to rehab it. You learn how to sell it. You've gotten the whole shebang down. Now you know that your numbers were off. So now the next time you could tweak your numbers and make it work and make money. Yeah. Even if you spent 3 months on the project and you didn't make $1 on it, you have learned so much. You've made experience that nobody can take away from you anymore.
You can't. Yeah. And when I lived in that first house, oh my God, you talk about a learning curve. I knew how to paint. Like that was it. And I did everything, kitchens, bathrooms, tile, cabinets, ceiling fans. I was just like, I can't even believe I did all this stuff. I can't believe it. And then I started doing more and more. And when I met my husband, remember, because he lives in Colorado and I still have my house in Delray Beach. So I'm a Florida girl too. And I was living in Florida, and he came to visit me because we met at a conference. And so I was showing him around the house or something. And we're in the garage. He's, whose tools are all these? Because I have a garage with the shelves and the tools and like everything. I'm like, these are all mine. He goes, you know how to use everything? I said, honey, I've been rehabbing for 15 years. I know how to use everything. I always tell people, I said, he fell in love with my tools. He didn't fall in love with me. He fell in love with, damn, she's got a freaking garage full of shit. Knows how to use all of it. So he fell in love with my tools. Because he was
Probably
really
all have
surprised. I knew how to
Milwaukee
do
pack
everything.
out.
Yeah, that's it. The first house we rehabbed together, he's seriously? I'm like, I've been doing this forever, man.
So you shared stages with icons like Trump and Kiyosaki, Orman and Robbins. What lessons have you taken from these experiences? That's a big stage.
I don't
Those are
know
some
if I
big
can even
names.
say. I think that you should never meet your heroes.
Okay, you should never.
I met a few people. I shared a green room and I was like, oh my God. I was so excited to meet this person. And I met them and I was like, wow. Like, wow. Because they just were not. And I also found that a lot of those people, and not to bash any of them, I love them all, are like so about the money. And I was like, ah, so it was very disheartening. Those big stages, I love being on them, but I found it originally to be disheartening, which is sad to say because of the people when I actually met them and hung out with them. And that's something that like should never stop anybody from doing all that. It's like what I had built up in my own mind. But the first time I was on a big stage with Kiyosaki, I was like, oh, I have arrived. I am on the stage with Robert Kiyosaki. Oh my God, I have arrived. I am at the highest pinnacle of life right now. And I don't know. I was terrified. It was fun. My first big stage had 5,000 people, and I stood there and I was just like, okay, take a breath. There's as far as your eyes can see, there's people. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many people. So I found myself feeling like new and fumbly and terrified of what was. I thought, no, I've worked hard. This is where I want to be. And I'm here. So I'm going for it.
You have
And
the knowledge that the reason why you're there is because of knowledge you've gathered throughout the years. So anything they could ask you, you probably already done or known or have an answer for. So it's, oh, just be yourself. No, on a
yeah,
stage
no,
like
really.
that.
And I got to tell you, I met Suze Orman and she's like so nice. I was like, yeah, she's so sweet. And she comes off really hard on TV and do that. And I was like, so sweet. And so a few of those people I got to meet and hang out with, I was like, oh my gosh, so some of them were so nice. And some I was like, wow, that person's such an asshole. So bad.
So where do you see the biggest opportunities in today's real estate market, especially with the distressed properties?
You know, right now, my husband and I are rehabbing a town,
Whole town?
pretty much the whole town. So I am
Wow.
currently right now in Clinton, Iowa, in my little apartment overlooking the tiny little downtown right here. And he's from here. We kept coming back from high school reunions. And I noticed that the downtown was like completely desolate. And I was like, after the third reunion, it's like, we met in 5 years. So it's like 10 full years. I'm like, what is happening down here? This is boarded up. There's something going on. We found out they have this rejuvenation, the downtown partnership, and they're trying to get people to buy buildings and fix them up. And they've got grants, like grants and grants and grants. And it's opportunity zone. If you own it for 10 years, there's no capital gains. I was like, you know what? We should rehab a building. And over the course of 2 years, we bought 28.
Holy cow.
I kid you not. And I was like, oh my God, what are we doing right now? And it was funny because after like the last one had 5 parcels or 6 parcels as part of it, but it was 3 buildings, a storage unit. Like, it was a lot. And I thought, I wonder how many people just sit around dinner and go, hey, so we just bought our 28th building today. What are we doing right now? Do people do that? I was like, yeah, I guess
Who are
they
they
do.
going to call it the Twyford, city of Twyford? Because you did the whole thing. Yeah.
We're renaming a couple buildings and putting our name on the building. I'm like, hey, Trump puts his name on every single building he owns. I was like, we're going to put Twyford on all these buildings. So we're having, at first I was like, no, we don't want everybody to know that we own all this stuff. We don't need to show off. I was like, you know what? Screw it. We do. We're putting a lot of money and we put millions in here. We're going to stick our name on everything.
At the end of the day, you'll have a library too.
Oh, right. So for us, like for me right now, we're in this crazy phase of rehabbing all these old buildings from the 20s, and we're actually restoring them back. It's like the natural brick and the wood, and they're so beautiful underneath all this cheap facades that people put on their buildings. So I am like up to my eyeballs in rehabbing that. But as far as the market in general, I just feel like every market is the right time to start. Whether you want to be an agent or you want to be an investor or whatever, again, there's always people buying, there's always people selling, there's always people dying, there's always people getting divorced. Like nothing changes. So if you've been listening and on podcasts and webinars for longer than 6 months and haven't taken a step forward, you're probably never going to.
Yeah.
To save yourself the trouble and just go, I'm never really going to do it. And if you're ready, start right now. They've got you, they've got me. Take a step.
Yeah, we're all out here to help you guys. Anybody out there, you need some person to crunch some numbers for you or anything,
Anything.
we're out here.
There's so many people like us that are really willing to help people.
Oh, for sure.
And I always think that even if it's a good market or a bad market, from my side, it's the same market.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me because I'm working with the foreclosures, bankruptcies, divorce, probates, like it's the same. So my market's always the same.
Awesome. So how is technology and the digital space impacting the short sale and pre-foreclosure space right now?
I have a love-hate relationship with technology. I think that it's amazing that like you and I can podcast and put things on YouTube and people can train and learn and educate. And then there's this other side where these really great marketers that don't have any real programs of any value that put this great splashy marketing and $5,000 for this program. And then when you get it, it's completely worthless and useless. So I feel like sometimes the shiny object syndrome hurts people that like you and I would want to work with because we really genuinely want to help people. Like you want to help grow your business and your industry and have employees. And I want to help people learn how to be an investor and have financial freedom and not have to work for a boss and all that. But then there's the big shiny object, the heavy marketing. So sometimes I'm like, the marketing side of it drives me crazy. People put out so much false information. So it's hard for people that are like, I'm going to learn off the internet. It's really? But
Really?
Are you really going to learn off the internet? You should find a person. I always tell people, find someone that aligns with your moral compass and work with that one person. That one person will take you to heights you can't imagine reaching on your own if you just stop like shiny object shopping.
It's like I called it back in the day when I started doing this stuff, it's about 6, 7 years ago, the search for the mentor. Find that one person that could help you and mentor you, guide you through the whole thing. And of course, they're going to make money because nobody works for free, really.
Yeah, exactly.
But that mentor is going to be able to get you to the next level, past the first steps, past the second, third steps. And you might end up being partners with that mentor down the line if he offers it to you. Hey, I think you guys are pretty cool. I could partner with you. Because that's also a thing that not every mentor wants to partner with people.
They don't. Now, see, we do. My husband and I, we have partnered thousands of deals with students because we end up liking them. They learn, they're coachable, they want to know and learn, they want to do good in the world. And we're like, yeah, we'll work with them. But then there's other people that like, hey, we want to work with you. And it's like, no.
So for brand new investors today, what's the smartest first move they can make?
They could go to dwanderful.com, DWANDERFUL, dwanderful.com. They could take my real estate investing quiz and they could find out how they rate. That's
awesome. So I know you built the Dwanderful.com and the Powerhouse podcast. What keeps you inspired to teach and lead after all these years?
That's a good question. I think what keeps me inspired is that I see so many like people like you, like the young folk, working in jobs that they hate or like getting this degree and they're working in that field and they don't like it and they're like, oh man, and they don't really know what to do. And I'm like, hey, you can work for yourself. You can be your own boss. You can start generational wealth. I can help you be the top of the family tree and work down like that. So I think I get inspired just because I see so many people that have the potential to do something or work on their own, or like you be an agent or whatever, but they don't have the steps or the know-how or they don't have anyone to help them. So I'm like, Mama Dwan will help you. And my own kids. I've got 3 kids that are all working in this town. And between my son and my 2 daughters, they've done like 70 houses in this little town. And I got grandkids. And so I want them to go up and be self-employed. I don't want them to have to work for somebody else. And I don't know. I really want all the women in the world to be like empowered. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, do that because you want to. If you want to work, do that because you want to. Don't be like a slave to somebody else. Because whoever writes your paycheck, they're the ones that are in control of your time.
That's true. You're trading
time. As you
time.
get older, your time becomes more valuable. When you get to be 66, you're like, hey, hold on a minute. I'm on the downside of this thing called life over here. I don't want someone telling me what to do, controlling my time. And if someone wanted me to work for them right now, I'd be like, you want me to be where, at what time? And like, how many hours you want me to put in? I don't think so.
I had that same idea, and my concept would be, so there is a number that I would do that for, but I don't think you could afford it.
Exactly.
Like, you want my time? I charge 500 an hour. If you want to pay me 500 bucks an hour, you can have me for 500. What do you want me to do? Screw in those cabinets? 500 an hour, man. That's what I charge, because that's how much I make an hour. Come on. Like, if you look everything, especially in your case, look at how much profits your companies are making, and then break it down per hour, how much time you work on those companies. And you're like, hey, I work 40 hours a week, and my company makes a couple $1,000,000 or 3 or 4, 5, whatever, $1,000,000 a year. You break it down and you're like, my hourly is 1,500 an hour.
Oh yeah. When you break it down,
So like,
I'm like, damn, I'm worth a lot of money.
exactly. You say that if somebody comes to ask you this, hey, could you do this for me? It'll only take an hour. It's like, my hour is 1,500 bucks.
Yeah, my hour is not your hour.
Exactly.
Over the years, having watching so many friends and people and they complain they hate their job. Is, you know what? The person that writes your paycheck really controls your hours.
Yeah.
It controls your overall happiness.
Yeah.
Do you dread Mondays? You're sick all day Sundays. You dread Monday. Then why are you doing that to yourself? You have options. There's options. It's not like back in like the 30s where like you got married and women had to do this and women couldn't work, or men or whatever, or they had to work in like coal mines, and like my grandfather worked in coal mines and like just terrible jobs. It's like, we don't have to do that now.
So
everybody can step out on their own. Everybody.
Exactly. Oh, we still need the labor force, but
yeah, someone might say, I want to be a contractor. I'm going to buy and own this contracting company. And I'm going to call and say, hey, I need you to build me a house. Yeah. It's your company. And so we need all that. We need all of that. But if I was going to be the trash person, I would own the trash company.
True. And this is the thing. The older you get, the more you should be a CEO of your own business or your own life as well. So in your 20s, it's fine to work for someone. You need to get the experience. You need to learn and all those things. And then as you progress through life, you'll be like, as you said, when you're 66, you want to be in charge of your own time. That's it. Don't tell me what to do anymore. I'll tell people what to do for me.
That's it. That's it. And I tell people, I say, listen, in my 20s, I went from Ohio to Fort Lauderdale. I turned 21 in 1980, and it was like Studio 54. It was like party and, like I said, champagne and cocaine. And it was so heavy into all that. And I thought, and not that I regret the decade, but it's like I literally wasted an entire decade. Now, did I have fun? Probably the best decade ever. But did I do a lot of terrible things? Yes. Did I waste a lot of time? Yes. Did I spend every dollar I ever made? Yes. All of it. And then when I was like forced to take care of my daughter, I just remember thinking, like, I'm 30. So if I work for somebody else, I'll be working till I'm 50 because I'll have to raise her. And then when you're 30, 50 still seems old. And when I was 30, I'd be like, oh man, that person's 60. How are they still alive? They're so old. Especially like when I was a kid, like our grandmothers had like gray hair and the buns when they were like 30 years old. And so I just thought about it for a week or so. I thought I could work for myself. I don't know what exactly. And just try. And if I fail, I could get a job, or I could get a job. But when I get done with that, Ayla's raised, I'll be 50. And then what would I be doing then? So I actually, and there was not like a super entrepreneurial spirit in my family. My grandfather built some houses. My dad had rentals, but it was more like in the 70s, grow up in the Midwest, get a job at General Motors and work in the factory and put in your 30 years for the man, then you retire. So I was more raised, get out of high school, get married, have kids, get a factory job, work for the man, and then you retire. Like pretty much I've heard that my entire life. And I did get a factory job. Right out of high school, my first job, I worked in a factory. And after 3 days, I thought, my God, why would somebody want me to do this? I went to my dad crying, like, why would you want me to do this? It's so hot. It's so awful. I hate it. He's like, you just got to put in your time. I'm like, but I'm 18. Like, I'll be dead. And then, so I don't know. I think some of that, and then having all that freedom in the 80s. And then, okay, now I have a kid. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Worst thing is I can get a job. If I get a job, I'll be stuck. I didn't want to be stuck because.
You know that movie Up?
Yes.
Oh my God, guys, everybody needs to watch that movie, okay? And figure out what it's really about. It's really about that old man going through the life, saving. Always something comes up and they never go on that vacation. And
Yes.
at the end, he gets the balloons and just flies away. It's just incredible. And I think it has such a meaning behind it that I think everybody should watch that movie.
I
It's a cartoon, but it's worth watching.
No, they should. It's so how life is.
Yeah.
It's like people just save and save for their retirement. And I can name 50 people I know that have died in their 60s. Like they didn't even make it to retirement. It's like you waited your whole life, you've been saving since you could travel when you get older. It's like travel now because you might not get older.
Travel when you can,
Travel when you
anytime you
can.
get. That's it.
That's
Go
with
explore the
you.
world. Yeah, that's
Our
what I
kids,
do. I travel the world all the time. Anytime we get or save up some money for it or whatever, I close a nice big deal, boop, 10% goes towards our happiness. And we
yeah,
go and fly and travel and whatever we can do. And you need to reward yourself because every little success you have in life, you should reward yourself for it because that's how your body will learn how to get more success.
I agree with you.
Always reward yourself on success.
We had
Don't reward.
one year that Bill and I were really speaking a lot, just like a lot, getting invited on these cruises and speaking out of country. And we're like, you know what? We hired a tutor and took our kids out of school for the whole year. And they went everywhere, all over the world. And I thought, you know what? If you wait to do those things later, what if you don't? Like my sister, unfortunately, died when she was 51 from breast cancer. It's like she didn't get later. There was no later. So I agree. Reward yourself. You close the deal. Take a trip. Do something with your kids. Invest in something. Do something, but don't just keep waiting because that day might not come. And then you have all this money. And it's, oh, I never got to do anything with my dad.
Imagine this. You have all this money. You're 65. You're retiring. Are you going to jump out of an airplane? No. Are you going to climb up a mountain? Probably not.
Probably
What
not.
are you going to do when you're 60? Sit on a cruise ship and tan yourself? That's all you're going to do? No. Enjoy it when you're young and you fit and you can do the stuff.
Yeah.
Do the exciting things when you're young because that experience builds character too. And it
Yeah.
builds character for your children. And I think that is really vital to make our kids worldly.
I
The
agree.
world is so small now compared to 150 years ago when you got steam engines and no airplanes and you couldn't get to anywhere. Now, for $900, you can fly to Europe and back
Yeah.
per person. That's not a lot of money for a flight to Europe and then be able to find a hostel or something to stay in.
Something. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you. Me and my kids, we've bungee jumped. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't jumped out of a plane, and I really want to. And for a while, I was like, especially until Ayla was 18, I thought I can't do that because if I die, who's going to take care of her? Because when I married Bill, she was 13. So from 8 months till 13, I was like business, running my own, taking care. I didn't date. I'm going to take care of my kid. I'm doing this and that. So that's my only thing I haven't done yet. But and then I had to get a hip replacement. I had to get a hip replacement. I was like, I don't know. Do I want to jump out of a plane now? I don't want to have another new hip. I might, but like we've bungee jumped, we've kayaked in the Panama Canal, we've climbed mountains, we've climbed in Switzerland. Like we've done so many things, like as a family. And my kids they've traveled to 80 or 90 countries.
Wow.
It's
It's almost
like
every country that has a passport.
just about, just about. And I was like, that's why you said you went to Egypt. I was like, that's one of my places. I still want to go to Egypt and see the pyramids and like all that cool stuff. But yeah, and not everybody wants to travel, but it's, you know what? Just treat yourself. You do a good deal, treat yourself. Treat, like you
Go
said,
have a good
treat your
dinner or
family.
something, steak dinner or something.
Even if you just
Treat
go for a
yourself.
fancy dinner, just
Yeah.
treat yourself. You don't have to like jump off a mountain. But and you're right. As you do it more, your body like, oh, if I close this down, I do really good. I could go do this or do that or buy this or have that. And so but I don't spend it on material stuff. I have my car is 15 years old. I drive all my cars till they die, and then I get another one. And if I got money for something, I'm gonna buy a rental.
No, get another property.
It's like, okay, wait, I need that money. Okay, I'm gonna go to Iowa because in Iowa you can buy a rental for 50 grand.
Wow.
Here,
What is
rent
the
for
ROI
like
on something like that?
$900.
900?
Yes.
Oh, your cap rate, what is that? Like a 15, 20% cap rate? That's amazing.
It's high.
Holy
So,
cow.
I'm like, if I got 100 grand, I'm like early on, I would have been like, oh, I need diamonds. I need this. In the very beginning, I bought all those things because I thought it made me have a boat and I have a car and I have this and that and I
Louis
bought a
Vuitton purse.
house and I do have a bunch of those actually. I just buy one thing, and my sunglasses are Jimmy Choo's. I think that with sunglasses and purses are my thing. And after a while, I was like, why am I buying all this stuff? I'd rather just take that money and buy another rental. So Then I started buying rentals, and then you're like, oh, hey, all my bills are paid. And it's okay. Now I have a big deal. I can go do something.
Yeah, I love that.
Something amazing.
We are pretty frugal. We do buy ourselves, not we don't have Louis Vuittons or anything like that, but we do treat ourselves for vacations. And
Yeah, we do too.
that's the thing that if we go, let's not go on a poor man's vacation, so called. We like
Yes. That's how we're. So we're
swipe
gonna
that card,
we're doing
baby.
it nice. We're
We're
getting
going on
we're
vacation.
getting all the stuff. I gotta tell you, way back. So I was raised in like just a very blue collar. We had a really nice house. We had 10 acres. We had probably the biggest house out there. And we had all the nice things. My dad worked hard. And so then after I'm a single mom and I literally lived off credit cards. I have no money. I've been living off credit cards. And I thought I'm not gonna buy anything for myself till I have $50,000 in the bank. My second deal, I made 50 grand on my second deal. I always bought like $10 sunglasses. This was like 35 years ago. I went and bought a $400 pair of sunglasses. And
Wow.
I was like, look at me. It was like the first thing I bought for myself. I was driving a convertible at the time, and it was an old, used, cheap convertible. And I'm driving down the I-95, and I don't know, I went to cut lanes, but there was a lot of traffic. So I think I put my head like too far to double check, and my sunglasses got sucked off my face.
Oh,
And I look in the rearview mirror and I see them, and there's a truck behind me, and I see this truck run over my sunglasses. I'm like, my first thing I ever bought for myself that was like, in my mind, super expensive, are on the road behind me, crushed in a million pieces. And
holy cow.
I was like, all right, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to put my money into properties.
Yeah, they can't drive over properties. Just drive into them.
But that was like, at that time, that was a giant thing in 1990 to have a $400 pair of sunglasses. And I was like, oh, look how amazing I am in these glasses. Like I thought it meant something. And then they just got sucked right off my face. And I thought, all right, I'm not doing that. If I got 400 extra bucks, I'm taking Ada somewhere.
So, if you would be able to go back in time, what advice would you give early Dawn? Sorry.
Really, I would say start investing in real estate when you turn 18 instead of partying your ass up until you were 30. Take that whole decade and move it up.
Oh yeah.
I would do that. It's like you have decades like that, and like you can't help but remember how much fun it was. But then it's so debaucherous. It's golly.
Yeah, I
It's
had my fair
debaucherous.
share in the 2000s, so I cannot.
And you're in South Beach.
Bartender, for God's sakes, it's the kind of, I don't know if it's the worst or best job you could have when you're in your 20s.
It's the best job. I had that job in my 20s too. It's like, this is the greatest job in the world.
The best thing you can do. It's fun. You get to meet a lot of interesting people, and you get to talk to a lot of wealthy people. Because
Yeah.
especially if you lived down in Miami area, oh my God, I worked in Miami before we moved it to Port Orange. I was a bartender in Miami, and we opened up some of the hottest spots. We had the lineup of lineups. We had Jay-Z, Beyonce, David Beckham. We had everybody in whole Miami Heat team back then. So you look up the other way as another famous star. You're giving him a drink or her a drink, and you're like, that's all you're doing. Is like, holy cow, what am I surrounded with?
Yes. That's how the 20s were for me in Fort Lauderdale. I worked at like the bar that everybody went to, all the famous people, and I would just go, I cannot believe I'm waiting on that person. And then as a girl, they're like, hey, you want to come to my hotel room tonight? And I'm like, no, I'm not that excited.
Bottle service girls today.
Oh my God. So yeah, so I think if I could give my young self, I would say take everything you started at 30 and do it at 20.
Yeah, I like that advice. I probably would do the same thing to myself. Come to the States earlier.
I have money. I have a great family. I have amazing kids. I can't imagine having done all that, like kids and all that at that young age. But then my son, shoot, he's 33. He's got 4 kids, and the oldest one's turning 11. It's, damn, man, you were 22 when you started doing that. I was so far up on the party zone. I was like you, like in South Beach. I was like that in Fort Lauderdale. I was like off the chart.
That's the thing. Like my father, because he had 2 families, he always kept on telling me that don't make any kids before you're 30. So we actually waited till we were 30. My wife is the same age as I am. She's born in 87. I'm born in 88. And we waited till we were 30 to have our first child. And I've lived out my life in the 10 years before that. So I am solid being a father now.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't have been ready for it earlier. And you want to be, so I'm just a piece of unsolicited advice. Make sure you guys are the cool parents and have the cool house. So all the kids want to come to your house, because when your kids are over there, you don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
So you be the cool parents, and everyone wants to come to your house, and then you can see what's going on.
make sure that they're all raised the right way. They're all
Yeah.
doing the right things. That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, for sure. Also, another thing, I wanted to have financial stability before I had my first children. I think you had the same idea about being 30 and having your kids, is have some money already saved up in a bank or somewhere. And that's, I told my wife, until I have $100,000, we're not making any kids. And I had a little bit over $100,000 when she got pregnant with Elizabeth. And I was like, I
Oh, see,
think, yeah,
there you go.
exactly. I told you about the secret when we were on your podcast.
Yeah.
That is part of it. Like, I imagined that into my account and I had it. And then the first kid came and then the second one. Now, 5 years later, the second one. The first one was a handful. So it's just the whole thing, how it played out. Dwan, your story is truly an inspiration, and your insights today remind us all that no matter where you start, real estate can change your life.
Yeah.
For our listeners, if you want to dive deeper into Dwan's world, visit Dwanderful.com and be sure to subscribe to the most Dwanderful real estate podcast ever. And if you found today's episode valuable, don't forget to share and subscribe to the Real Estate Roundtable, where we bring you the real stories behind real estate success. Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.